Yeah, so here's our provocative title. Airflow that remembers the DAG versioning era is here. Cool. Yep. Hi, I'm Jed again. And then, yeah, here we have Ephraim to join us. Ephraim did a lot of the actual engineering work on this. So happy he's here with me to show it off. Yeah, so as Bree just mentioned, and I think you've probably heard a couple times now, yeah, this was the most requested feature on a number of our surveys. So I'm happy that we're actually able to offer it free for you all now. So let's go back though and see kind of why this is important and valuable in the first place. So let's imagine we have a very simple DAG here. One task, hello, and we get some runs. All's good. Let's add another task real quick. That's pretty good, right? It's there. But if you go to the graph view, it's not quite as great. So this is the graph of one of those first three runs. Why is world there? It wasn't there. Let's go ahead and remove that new task we added. And now is where it starts getting bad. Where did our world task go on those later runs? And same thing on the graph, as you probably guessed. What do we think this does? And you'll also note there's no new runs even, right? This is like, it just did it when the DAG processor saw this change. So that's not great. Here's a little preview of what this exact flow would look like in Airflow 3. Cool. So then this looks similar to a slide I had earlier, and the same things here. But I guess in case you weren't paying attention or you forgot, on the execution side, we really allow Airflow to control what code is used to run a task. That does require you to do some extra configuration in your Airflow instance. You don't get it for free. On the UI side, we handle real world DAGs when they do change, they just do in the real world, right? And so we want to keep history, want to show it to you. You get that for free, no matter what bundle type you use. And so brings us to DAG bundles. It's a collection of DAGs and other files. The other files bit is important. We do want to version all of those things together. We need to version them all together. If you imagine you had a SQL file, you want to run with the same DAG code, the same SQL file. We have different types of bundles, some that are versioned, some that are not. Like local development, for example, you don't want to have to deal with versioning. You just want to be able to run on your latest code, iterate quickly. You still get the UI features, of course, but you don't need the execution side versioning. And that leads us to Airflow being able to run the task with a specific version of the code, which then lets Airflow control the version of the code across the whole DAG run. You have consistency. If you haven't experimented with it, it's a fun exercise to, for example, change the XCOM that you're passing between tasks in Airflow 2 and see it blow up, or remove a task partway through a run and see how it handles it. It's a good time. This is a fun one too. So we are now able to source DAGs from many different bundles at the same time. You could kind of do this in Airflow 2, right? There was the subdir argument for the DAG processor. So you could have like different folders on your machine that you parse DAGs from. It wasn't a commonly used feature, and there were some sharp edges that you could run into. But getting DAGs from many sources now is a very first-class feature in Airflow. And it allows you to define different like boundaries of versioning. So like one use case could have its own Git repo, for example, and be all versioned together, and another use case is completely separate. Also gives you a lot of flexibility on like CI and how you want to deploy things. A nuance here also is that the Airflow is able to go out and get the DAGs and get them at the right version, versus in Airflow 2, where the DAGs have to magically appear on local disk in the instance, right? So for those of you that are like running Airflow, that was always a big challenge. How do I get my DAGs across the whole instance on all the different workers and things at roughly the same time so we don't break things? Airflow now controls that whole life cycle. And yeah, it allows, to the demo that we gave earlier, we'll give it again here in a minute. But being able to control the code across the whole run means that we have consistency. And now I will pass it off to Ephraim.
So, like Jed mentioned, we have two types of bundles. We have the versioned and non-versioned bundle. In the version category, we have the Git Dag bundle. So the Git Dag bundle is a general purpose Git bundle, which allows you to get Dags from many Git services. You can get that from GitHub, GitLab, or even self-hosted. So, but when we say versioned, what we mean is the whole code in that bundle has a version, like a general version for the whole bundle. So, Git Dag bundle is a Git bundle, and one good thing about it is that it also provides you with a URL to your repo where you have the Dags. Like if you're looking on the UI, you can easily see this Dag is from so repo, right? Then we have the local Dag bundle. The local Dag bundle is non-versioned. It's most like Airflow2's Dags folder. So you just give Airflow the path to where you have the Dags, and Airflow will just get it for you. And it's not versioned. Then we also have the S3 Dag bundle and GCS Dag bundle, both of which allows you to give Airflow a path to a Git bucket, a path to a bucket in S3 or GCS, and Airflow will go there and get the Dags for you. The S3 bundle and GCS bundle are not currently versioned, but there is plans to version both of them. So, one thing is that you can combine all these bundle in one Airflow environment. That brings us to how to do that. So in the Dag processor session of the Airflow configuration, you have the Dag bundle config list. In this config list, you can add as many bundles as you want. You can have the Git Dag bundle, you can have the local Dag bundle, and any of the bundle. You can even have it, multiple of it, and configure it, and Airflow will be able to get Dags from those bundles. Then we also have a configuration for the bundles called the refresh interval. So what it means is the refresh interval is at what time should Airflow check for new version in your bundle. And we have a global default and also have a way to override it from your bundle configuration. So if you have some refresh interval set in the bundle configuration, it will override the global default. Then we also have the Dag bundle storage part, which is where Airflow downloads your Dags and executes from there. It has a very same default, but you can also change it. And this is how we configure bundles. So if you look here, we have my Git repo as the name of the first bundle. We have two bundles here. So my Git repo, if you look, it has a class path which points us to Git Dag bundle. That tells us that this bundle is Git Dag bundle. And you can also see the other configurations. Then down there, you have the Dags folder, which is a local Dag bundle. So you can also see the class path. So that tells us the type of bundle. So you can have a number of configurations like Git Dag bundle multiple times. The important thing is that the name is always unique. So once the name is unique, you can have as many as you want. Now, because we download bundles we get it from different places that you configure it, we have a life cycle for the bundles. So at the start, Ephraim will get the bundles and store them in disk. Then at every refresh interval, it will also check if there are changes so that we can get it into Airflow. Then we have configurations for cleanup. So at every stale bundle cleanup interval, Airflow will go and check if there is a bundle that has stayed more than the 8 threshold. And if we have something like that, it will remove it. Same with the number of versions we store in the disk. So you have more than the minimum number, Airflow will also clean it up. Now let's talk about what we call observed Dag version. Observed Dag version is a version of a single Dag. Remember we said bundle version is a version of the whole bundle. Well, for a single Dag, we have what we call observed Dag version. So this observed Dag version does not depend on a file name. So it doesn't depend on a file. If you change the file name, it will not trigger a new observed Dag version. Also, it doesn't depend on the Dag object. So if you are maybe changing some codes inside your Dag and thinking that it's going to give you a new version, it doesn't happen this way. It doesn't happen that way. So it only depends on the serialization that Airflow uses. The Airflow scheduler uses serialization. So when your Dag is passed, we get the serialization of the Dag, and if there are changes, we know that we need a new version for the Dag. This is how the serialization looks like. If you see here, we have the task and other keys, and if there is any change in these tasks or any of the parameters and any of the keys, if there are any change on the value of the keys, Airflow will create a new observed Dag version for the Dag. Same thing applies to the task. So you can be making some changes in your Dag and you will not be seeing any new version. But yeah, the reason you are not seeing it is because Airflow uses a serialization format for the Dags. So if the changes you are making are not making any changes to the serialization, then you will not have a new version for the Dag. And what I mean is, take this as an example. You have some task which prints ABC, and you change it to print something new. This kind of change will not trigger a new version because versioning of a Dag depends on the serialization that Airflow uses, and this will not trigger a new serialization. So what will trigger a serialization is changing the parameters of the task, or for example, below here we have another task being renamed to Hello World. This kind of change will trigger a new serialized Dag. But how do we really do this creation of new versions? So we have a method in serialized Dag model. This method is called the write Dag. So what it does is, it first of all checks, after serialization, it will check if your Dag, the serialization that we got, if the hash of that serialization is the same as the most recent serialized Dag hash. If it's the same, we don't do anything, we return. But If it is not the same method has some logic to check if we have an existing run for the DAG. So if there is existing run, we create a DAG. We create a DAG version. But if there is no existing run, we just update it. The reason we do this is mainly because of dynamic DAGs. You notice that every time the DAG processor processes a dynamic DAG, it will try to create a new version. So at that point, if the new change that comes with the processing of the DAG is not, if the DAG doesn't have any run, we just update it. And yeah, if it has a run, we will create a new DAG version. So, like I said before, if you are making any changes on the DAG code, some of the changes you are making, you will still be seeing that the version there is still V1, version 1, because that's how you see that's how we represent the observed DAG version. So some of the changes we'll be making, the code will just be updated here, but you will not see a new version. So how we handle that is that when we use the write DAG method of the serialized DAG model to try to write a new version, if nothing was updated, what we do is we update the source code for the UI so that the UI will have a new changes, the changes that you did, which didn't create a new serialized version. So how do we version bundles? Remember before I said that bundles are version as a whole, like it's a code snapshot of everything you have. So the way we do this is Airflow doesn't do it, but the bundle itself does it. For example, in the case of Git DAG bundle, it has to send us the commit head of that repo. And that's what we use to record as bundle version for that bundle. So what is the difference between bundle and observed DAG version? So like I said, bundle version is the version of the whole DAG bundle, while the DAG version is just a version of a single DAG after serialization. Now let's look into what the DAG processor does with bundles. So what we do is, at a start, the DAG processor will clone the repo, if it is a repo, or get the Dags and store it in a disk. And every time it has a loop that checks based on the refresh interval if we have a new version for the DAG. So it does this per bundle, and at the end of the day, it also reconcile and remove files or import errors that we have. And it does this processing per file in a bundle. So I'll give it to Jed to talk about bundle versions.
Yeah, so same setup here. We're going to kick off a run of a DAG that has two tasks. We'll change it in the middle, make sure it does the right thing. So here's that DAG. We'll go ahead and kick it off. So while this is getting going, we'll go modify it. We'll change the sleep so it's a little faster. We will change the greeting we get at the second task. And then we'll also change the task ID so we can see the UI history feature more easily. Get that deployed. So I guess I'll take the opportunity here. This is sped up. Like normally the default would be 5 minutes to observe this change. I configured it so it'd be quicker here, but we will see that change here. And then when we go to the final state here, right, after those both had finished running, grid view shows the right thing. You'll see Gantt. We get sleep, hello new for the new DAG run, showing the right things. If we go look at the code that was actually ran for that first DAG run, we got the right hello airflow summit. And then the second one will be Seattle instead. Cool. Then I'll pass it back to Ephraim.
So let's talk about versioning behavior when you try to rerun a task by clearing DAG or task instance. In Airflow 3.1, when you try to clear a version bundle, you have two options. The first is whether you want to run it with the original serialized DAG or bundle version that it ran with previously, or you want to run it with the latest bundle version. So this is only applicable to version bundles. And you get this option. The pop-up will show you this, and bottom left you see an option to run with latest bundle version. So this is something you see in Airflow 3.1 for version bundle. You don't get that with non-version bundle. Okay, let me show you the behavior. Let's say we have this DAG with the latest one being 2 task, which is the latest DAG version, and we try to clear the second run. This time, we don't want to select that to run with the latest bundle. So when we run, it will run with the whole 3 tasks it ran with before, right? But if we select it again and tell it to run with latest bundle version, I know that the latest version is just 2 tasks, while the old version is 3 tasks. If you run this, what will happen in Airflow 3.1 is that the last task there will be removed because it's not in the latest version of the DAG. So you get it removed for both the grid and the other side. Now, what if we make it 3 tasks so that the latest version of this DAG is 3 tasks? We do that, and we also push to Git, then check if it has reflected. Then let's trigger a run to make sure that this is 3 tasks. So you can see that we have 3 tasks there. So what if the first DAG run is just 2 tasks? What if we try to clear it and we just don't want to run with latest bundle version? We just want to clear it and run. You can see that it ran only 2 tasks that it ran with previously. Now, what if we select it again and try to clear with the latest bundle version? You know that the latest one is 3 tasks. You can see that the astronomer task has been added to the first run, which had 2 tasks before. So this is kind of behavior you see in Airflow 3.1. Now, what if we rename all the tasks? Like rename this sleep task, the hello task, and the astronomer task. You can see we just added 2 to all of them. And we also push to Git. So I'm using a version bundle here. So that's why I'm pushing to Git. So I'm using the Git tag bundle. Now, if we see that the version has reflected, you have the new task names. Now, if we try to clear it, let's first of all run it. So if we trigger it, you see that the history is clear that this is the first one that is running with the new names. Now, what if we clear another run and decide that, yeah, let's run this with the latest bundle version? So what will happen is that the old task will be marked as removed. And you can see that the new task is the one that we have now. So this is something you see in Airflow 3.1. Yeah, I can see everything marked as removed. So what really changes when you try to clear a task? The first thing that changes is the version. If you select the version to be the latest, then Airflow will assign that to that DAG run. It will now be the version for that particular DAG run. So the version, the both the observed and bundle version will just change for the run. But the topology doesn't really change that much because when you clear and you have 3 tasks, but the new version you have is more than 3 tasks, a task will be added. But if you are clearing and you don't have the latest version is just 2 tasks, but the old one has more tasks. So what's happening is we mark the task as the task instances as removed, but we don't delete the task instance from the run. So main version bundle doesn't have this option. It's only for version bundle. Let me pass it.
Cool. So yeah, we definitely wanted to have it be you to be able to write your own bundle types. And so we built an interface here for you. It's actually pretty slim, right? We tried to keep it simple at a really base level. You have to tell us where, this is the examples here are tailored more towards Git because I think it's an easy analogy, but you have to be able to tell us like where we parse Dags from. That's that path that you provide to us. We also need a method to call to say, hey, go get the latest Dags from your system. So in the Git world, this would be a Git pull. And then we need a version string from you. It doesn't matter what it is, it's just a string. But this is the string that Airflow will use later when the task starts to say, hey, I need this version of the code. This is how Airflow says, hey, go get me the code that represents this, whatever that is. And then there's some more advanced features too, right? You can provide custom keyword args. You can do expensive things in an initialize function, and you can provide URLs out to your system as well. Quick recap. We cover execution side and the UI. Bundles are the execution side. DAG versions is what powers the UI and the scheduler.